If folks can't see the vision by now, you may not ever see it. Or by the time you see the vision of what's going down in Detroit in terms of accumulating young talent to build around Cade Cunningham to try to build a championship contender, well, by the time you figure it out, pretty much the rest of the world will have figured it out. This team is crazy talented. This team is potential. Look, I told y'all they're going to win 32 to 35 games this season. And they're likely going to be either in the play-in or just barely right outside the play-in. This team potentially is where the Orlando Magic were a couple seasons ago, right? This is that sweet spot where your guys, your young guys, are really starting to step into their potential and come together under a team identity, a coach, a system, and they're putting the pieces together, building confidence in what they do together, and they're just about ready to take the jump. Just about there. And I want to dive into that in this video. But before I do, this video was brought to you by Bridges and Stones Family and Relationship Care. You know, the holidays can be tough for a lot of us, whether it's distance from family, relationship issues, social isolation, or struggling to adapt to the weather of this season. Depression and loneliness can get to us all. This season doesn't have to be something to dread, though. It can also be an opportunity to learn coping skills and the steps you need to move into healthier relationships. Contact Bridges and Stones today for a free consultation with a professional coach to get the support you need. Don't struggle alone. The link is in the description box below. Look, for those, man, it's tough to be on Twitter. Boy, is it tough to be on Twitter because you get guys talking about the Detroit Pistons and they seem like fans, but what they really reveal over time, if you follow them, is they're not really fans. They're currently kind of following one player who might be on their NBA fantasy squad, and he's playing well, so they're kind of keeping tabs on him. And then they just make comments about him because they're looking at the box score, right? They're not actually watching the game. They're not actually listening to press conferences and hearing what the direction of this team is and, actually tracking the development and the progress of the players and the team and the roster and how things are being compiled. They are not doing any of those things. They're just throwing out stuff for the sake of it. They're just out there, hey, you know what we should do? We should go out and get this guy that's always injured. Look, I just seen a trade proposal to bring in Michael Porter Jr. And let me just say, I'll be super quick about this one. No, no, no. Michael Porter Jr. Is a good player, really good player. Will he ever be an all-star? No. Does he get paid like an all-star? Yes. Is he highly injury prone? Yes. Does he create his own shot? Hell no. Does he knock down shots? Yes, he does. Right? So people might think, okay, he shoots at a high volume and a high clip. He's like a kind of a supercharged Cam Johnson, right? He's going to hit a lot of threes, and that can be useful. But as much as he's getting paid, that doesn't necessarily fit the trajectory of this team, right? Because the way Jaden Ivey has been balling, if you actually watch this game, Jaden Ivey was dominating the first half. On the defensive end, the offensive end, getting guys involved, racking up assists, and then in the second quarter, taking over offensively and getting to the basket, knocking down back-to-back threes. He was out there playing like Jaden Ivey. This was the reason why he was the number 4 pick in the draft. This is why he was the top lottery. This is why people thought that he could have potentially gone number 1, right? He didn't. Probably shouldn't have in retrospect, right? We all get that. But the consideration was there because they saw this. Because they saw this potential. They said this guy is an absolute blur. And if he puts it all together on the defensive end, the offensive end, he can become a high-level starter, all-star, and you can kind of keep going. Because when you have work ethic and a high motor, skill, and great athleticism, elite athleticism, there is no ceiling. There is no ceiling. And in this first half, Jaden Ivey showed you exactly that. He ended the game, I want to say, with about 20 points. Let me go to the box score really quick. Ended the game with 20 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists. He was our second leading rebounder at the guard position, and 8 assists to boost. plus a steal, shot 50% from the field, 4 of 6 from the 3-point line. And I did a video over the summer, actually at the end of last season. I said Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham are far better 3-point shooters than they have shown so far. This team is not necessarily desperate for shooters in the way that they kind of presume they were, because I anticipated this season Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey taking a big step forward. They were going to be averaging 3 to 4 more percentage points in their 3-point shooting, which meant that they were now going to be above average 3-point shooters at volume, which they both are. When you saw this game, it was almost as if there's like this magic taking place where the pieces are just falling into place. And if you really watch it, you can get glimpses of where they're headed. You can get glimpses. When you watch Asar Thompson being able to run the point position, despite only having 4 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, 50% from the field, he was a +5 in his plus minus. He was playing like a starter. He was playing like someone who understands that he can have a huge impact on the game. And when you see how he was playing, and then you look at somebody like a Ron Holland, how many loose balls he was able to get to, how many rebounds. He had 3 rebounds, 4 points, 1 assist, 1 steal in only 13 minutes. Asar Thompson played 14 minutes. These two individuals, the plays that they were able to make, they filled in between the shooting from Beasley and Tim Hardaway Jr. And let's not be mistaken. The reason why both Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley were able to get off from the 3-point line is because they had 2 dynamic guards playmaking for them, Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey. Between the 2 of them, they had 21 assists alone. And when you have 2 dynamic players who have so much gravity on the court and are able to create open shots, whether it's through penetration, whether it's through getting a loose ball and finding the open guy, whether it's being able to advance the ball in transition and suck in the defense early and be able to kick it out, these are the plays that remind you why you are centering your team around these 2. Why these 2 are going to be the future at only 22 and 23 years old. This is why it's so important you don't get caught up in the hoopla of people saying, hey, let's go out there and let's go get a Zach LaVine. Let's go out there and let's go get a Brandon Ingram. Let's go get a guy that you consider to be a future star, or who you believe is a star, who's only been an all-star only 1 time in their career, has not been known to lead their team into the playoffs, does not have a great playoff resume, and these guys are old. Much older, considerably older. Brandon Ingram is 27 years old. He's making $36 million. You know what he wants? The max. He wants $40+ million a year. Oh yeah, and he's injured again. Zach LaVine. Let's take a look at him. Zach LaVine is 29 years old. Guess how much he's making this season? $43 million. Next season, $46 million. The season after that, $49 million. These are 2 individuals who have been injury prone throughout their entire career. Well, what about the Michael Porter Jr. deal? That looks like a great deal. Well, let's look at Michael Porter Jr. He's due 36, 38, 41 million over the next 3 years. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. That's not entirely terrible, right? If you tell me you can get that deal without having to give up any of your core young guys, I'm not too mad at it. But leveraging this team in any way to bring in anyone at this point would just be foolish. Because everything that they could be wishing to begin to transpire on this team is happening. They have their coach, JB Bickerstaff. He has created a system. He has the buy-in. He's created a culture. They're playing defense. There's accountability. The guys are developing. Oh, and let's not forget about one Jaylen Duren, who I literally just dropped a video on, and I said, hey, pump your brakes. You guys have been smashing on this dude. You guys have been downing him. You guys have been throwing him under the bus, saying how terrible he is. You want to trade him for Nikola Vucevic, who is Let me look up how old Nikola Vucevic is. This is who you want to give up this 21-year-old big man with all this potential for. You want to give him up for a 34-year-old center. 34. 34. He's probably got 2 more seasons left in his career. 3 at the most. Probably only 1 or 2 left as a starter. Jaylen Duren is 21 years old. Guess how much he put up today? 17 points, 11 rebounds, and 2 assists. 17, 11, and 2 at only 21 years old. Going up against Yusuf Nurkic and Mason Plumlee, Kevin Durant, he had 11 boards, 17 points. Oh, and when they tried to do the hack of Duren, right, send him to the free throw line, calmly approached the free throw line. Knocks down 2. 2 clutch shots from the free throw line. And you guys want to trade him for a 34-year-old. This is the stuff that I keep bringing up when it comes to these Twitter stands who are saying, oh, make this trade and make this deal. This team is 100% on track. Between, say what you want about Weaver, he brought in the talent. Trajan Langdon is here. He's maintaining the direction. He brought in the coach. The type of coach they probably should have brought in last year, but that's neither here nor there. They are back on track. And you can imagine when Ausar Thompson gets fully acclimated. You can imagine when Ausar Thompson finds his jump shot, his rhythm, is getting to the rim at will. Ron Holland really gets into his bag, starts knocking down those threes, getting to the rim at will. Right now you have guys who can get downhill. You have guys that can collapse the defense and make the game that much easier for shooters like Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley and Simone Fontecchio, who got off in a big way. Shout out to Simone Fontecchio, who had 10 points, was shooting 4 of 7, 50% from the three-point line, 57% from the field. Simone Fontecchio was lights out. Was lights out. Do you guys not see the vision? Do you guys not see what is developing here in Detroit? If you don't, you will. You will. Because there's absolutely no reason for Trajan Langdon to divert from the script. Now, you want to bring in a third center? I guess. But when you look at Paul Reed and how well he's playing, you look at Isaiah Stewart, who's in street clothes, who looks like he might be back in another week or two. Hey, you know what? You probably don't need to make those types of moves. Right now, you could probably maintain the continuity and the chemistry of this team. Right now, what you can probably do is bank on the internal development and guys continuing to rise to the occasion. If Ausar Thompson doesn't get into foul trouble at the beginning of the game, he probably ends up with far more rebounds. He probably gets into even more of a rhythm. Right? These are what the young guys are figuring out. How do I stay and maximize my impact? And if you don't see it, well, I'll be here to remind you. But as always, I want to know what you all think. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, get at me in the comments section, share the video. And when you holler at me in the comments, you know we will continue the conversation there. And I'm out. Peace.